put another scenario out there for you guys. Someone gets their attribution results back, or they get a they get an understanding of how it performed, and it's not as high as they would like. And they have to deliver that message to either their boss or stakeholders. How would you kind of arm them or give them, without seeing the data, so this could be a tall ask, but like, how would you, like, what would you try to tell them or share with them or give them the information so that they can share that information and not feel like they're going to get their heads bit off because it's not like the best news?
Well, I mean, if you totally depends on the manager, right, or just the leadership, and not everybody has good leadership. If if you don't, you probably need to find another job. Because a good leader shouldn't be biting your head off if you walk in with some like attribution number that says, "Oh, things are down a bit." All performance should be evaluated on how much you are growing, even if that growth comes through a cycle of failures, like Stephen was talking about earlier. That's the way to understand that's the way to measure performance growth. So I would hope that most managers or leaders are able to understand that, but probably not. So if it's just, yeah, I mean, I'm walking into my boss's office and it looks like average ROI is down year over year or quarter over quarter or whatever. There's got to be some story for it. Either we didn't know what we were doing in the past and we did all of that math wrong, or the market conditions have changed for today. But let's think about what we thought as an organization those market conditions were going to be at this point. And that's not the individual employee's responsibility to understand the market expectations. That's the firm's responsibility. At the firm level, everybody needs to be bought in about what they expect the market to look like at some point in the future. And so when you get to that point and your average performance is down relative to previous periods, you got to understand, is it down because we as a firm missed where we were going? We didn't understand what the right opportunity was for us in the future periods.
Yeah, I think Winston's once again right, nail on the head there. I mean, when I think about as a manager, someone's coming to me with, let's call it unexpected news. I mean, sure, maybe it's bad news, but coming to me with something I didn't want to hear, I didn't expect to hear it, right? I mean, what I'm gonna want from them is I'm going to need to. I likely do not understand at all where these numbers are coming from. I likely don't understand much about it. I just see this statistic and it's the ROI or whatever it might be. And so, what I'm gonna want to hear from that person is I am gonna want to hear some story, something that helps me understand why this looks different. Maybe it could be as simple as we changed vendors, and so the measurement is slightly different because we're using a different methodology, which, I mean, Winston kind of alluded to. Maybe we were doing our math wrong, or we're just doing it differently. There are different accounting schemes, right? There are different ways to do things. And also a plan to understand it further, a plan to take action off of learnings from this, or as well as, an understanding of how I, as a manager, can then communicate that to my boss or my boss's boss as it goes up the chain, and if that needs to be done, and how to better set expectations. Because a lot of times things like this happen because expectations were set very poorly. I think back to what Winston was talking about a little bit ago, when we were talking about, people in these different firms or whatever. I think that there's got to be, you need to be self-aware about the limitations of what it is you're doing and what you can do. What opportunities really exist in the market. And then you need to set expectations as realistically as possible about what your outcomes can be. And I mean, we have, you know, I've heard people say some pretty ridiculous things, have set crazy expectations for things like direct mail campaigns, which I'm sorry, in 2023, I don't read a single piece of mail that comes into comes in my mailbox. Like, I don't even read bills anymore because I get them all digitally. If someone's still mailing me a bill, they're likely not going to get paid because I just don't read my mail. And I don't think I'm the only person that doesn't read my mail. And I sure don't, you know, look at marketing communications that come into my mailbox. Now, maybe that's like just a middle-aged male thing, but I don't think so. So you know, I guess that gets back to that self-awareness and setting expectations thing. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, ideally a manager is not going to rip your head off, but they are going to want to hear a little bit more about what's going on and be able to understand it, and they're going to want you to have a plan to move forward too. That's just a general rule of employment: is don't go to your manager with a problem and expect a solution necessarily. Walk in with a problem and a proposed path to a solution at the very least. Because managers tend to have 8 to 12 people that are walking in their you know, virtual office door on a daily basis with problems. So that's another just piece of personal and career advice there for you.